We can attempt to press play at the same time together to be synced, but I'll keep you abreast of all the timestamps and any ad breaks that happen, but I'm going to be pausing a lot just because I'm doing animation at the same time. So there's no way we're going to be synced to a T. So let's start the crawling eye, shall we? What I do is I go to justwatch.com. You type in the movie you're looking for. It's called The Crawling Eye here in the United States. If your VPN's tuned to the United Kingdom, type in the Trollenberg Terror. You can try to press play at the same time as me, but true synchronicity on DA track night, that's going to be a futile endeavor because I'm lagging behind with all the commercials. Just pause my stream and you can catch up. This is going to be a lot easier on public domain night. Let's start with the crawling arse. Crawling eye. 3, 2, 1, press play. Damn. Right off the bat, Amazon's barraging us with ads. This is for some show called Yellow Jackets, which I think it's the girl who did Jennifer's Body and the screenwriter of Jennifer's Body, Karen Kusama, which is pretty cool. I just haven't had the chance to watch it. Alright, finally, the credits are starting. Timestamp 000. Eros Films Limited. Or is it Frog? 20th Century Frog. Alright, the first establishing shot is a real valley in between some mountains, not a matte painting. This is second unit footage, or maybe it's stock footage, but it starts on the valley, the little villages, and then camera tilts up. And Polly has made, little mountain range for me. Thank you, Polly. You hear cowbells going, bovine farmers. Right now we're on a matte painting, and a really good matte painting of a mountain range, really sharp tip of a mountain with a spooky cloud around it. Maybe it's just snow. Is this the Carpathians, Swiss Alps, the Andes? I don't know. This seems like a pretty low-budget movie. I mean, it's not any of the big studio names I recognize from England during the 50s. But it is some handsome-ass black and white film stock. And they shot it in 1.66:1. Okay, now we're on a soundstage of a cliff ledge. There's two hikers standing on a soundstage, or men dressed up to be hikers. And there's a forced perspective in the background of they're high up, dangerous cliffside. We're at 40 seconds in. Timestamp. Hey Jimmy, he's calling off to his friend off camera. You see a rope going up out of frame. It's almost like theater. Like the shot isn't changing. I wish there was a shot maybe looking up at him over the ledge, foreboding with the rope going up and out of frame, and you just hear his voice off camera. But then they'd have to matte paint the angle going up. But definitely if you were going to have a Hitchcockian Fear of Heights shot looking down at the chasm, they'd have to definitely have a matte painter come in. So maybe they just didn't have the money. Usually less is more, but this is not a very suspenseful beginning. Their friends saying,
"Oh, a cloud is coming, something spooky."
They're making jokes about the Yeti. I don't know what's beeping. Beep, beep. Maybe that's just the score. A toy G.I. Joe fell past them. I guess it was a miniature of a climber's body. Just falls past them through the frame. And he screamed bloody murder. Alright, now they're pulling him up. Jimmy, are you okay? You guys should have bought the Sterling Strength cabling, bro. That's the only way to mountain climb. They're not cutting it down. They're keeping it out of frame. They're just pulling the ropes up to see what happened to Jimmy. Why is he not talking anymore? His body's limp, got blood on it. The guy responded to something scary out of frame. I like to imagine Jim just had horrible breath and the guy got a whiff. No! It needs two people to lift. The guy who got scared let go. Why are you not helping anymore? And he says, oh shoot, Jimmy didn't have a head anymore. So right as he says, oh, his head, it was torn off. There's a smash cut to a train. Come on, ride the train. Woo, we'll ride it. Alright, and it's going into the tunnel and then the credits start. The Trollenberg Terror in the United Kingdom. Here in the States, we have it as the Crawling Eye. Ooh, kind of Saul Bass-esque. Credits design, little arrows pointing, like the man with the golden arm, maybe a little bit psycho, but I don't know. Well, I'm thinking of Taking of Pelham 123, the original one, not the Tony Scott one. And, but maybe I'm just thinking of the Mass Transit Board Walter Matthau looks at, has all these arrows on it. Forrest Tucker's in this. The dude, he's famous for the show F Troop. I never really got to see that. It's more my grandparents' generation. I'm more familiar with Goof Troop. Oh, Janet Monroe from Darby O'Gill and the Little People. The second best Leprechaun film ever made. I've never seen anything else by this director. I know he was big in United Kingdom TV, but Quentin Lawrence. We couldn't afford Tarantingus. We had to settle for Lawrence. Produced by Robert S. Baker and Monty Berman. They're not always Eros films. Sometimes people think their movies are like bastardized Hammer horror picks, but The Flesh and the Fiend is pretty damn fun. Ooh, cool. And the way coming out of the tunnel fits the ocular theme of the crawling eye. Kind of looks like the shape of an eye. If you were going into this back then, I assume you saw the poster with the big giant monster eye. Alright, exterior of a train, just stock footage. Going through the European countryside. Alright, now we're on a sound stage. There's two women. One, she looks like a teenager and an older woman. The teenager's asleep on the older woman, and there's someone, looks like someone's dad with glasses just reading a newspaper. And there's rear projection of the passing countryside, of course. I'm at the timestamp 333. Anne, were you dreaming? I was trying to, bitch. Let me sleep. The older woman is overly tending to this girl. She's not a baby. She's like just a young woman. The man across is just eavesdropping. Oh, he's the guy from F Troop. Right. Anne's waking up. You were talking in your sleep. She keeps asking, are you feeling okay? Are you feeling okay? She's like, I wish everyone would stop treating me like an invalid. You are an invalid. Alright, now the train is entering a pass where the characters say, oh, you can see the mountain range. And the teenager, Anne, she gets up and looks at the window. And the shot of the mountain passing by, for some reason, it's a static shot, but they're on a moving train. Cue the spooky music. She's all happy looking at the mountains at first, and then her smile's turning upside down, and she's like getting creeped out. She really almost looks like she's gonna barf, and her eyes are fluttering. She's stumbling. Damn, the kid just fell over. Fell over onto the dude's newspapers. You smudged my Archie comics. Alright, they're trying to wake her up. What happened? Did I faint? The girl seems really embarrassed that she fell into a guy's lap. My name's Alan Brooks. Well, hi, I'm Ann Pilgrim, and this is my sister Sarah. Ann looks straight at the camera for a second. You'll feel better if you drink out of this flask. That'll bring the color back. Is she even old enough to drink? Well, they are European, though. They have different laws. Damn krauts and frogs are plastered by the time they're in kindergarten. The older sister explains that they're going to Geneva. So they're in Switzerland. The train attendant just walked by. He's like, next stop, Trollenberg, in that heavy Bjorn Bjorg accent. I'm telling you, Trollenberg is the home of the trolls. Alright, now she's just being a weirdo ever since she woke up. Where's Trollenberg? She's having some kind of premonition or bad vibes. We're going to stop at Hotel Europa instead. They're making an itinerary change. How do you know about Hotel Europa? We've never been. Cue that X-Files music. I don't know how I know. This guy just looks annoyed with them now. These old yammering bags. I'm going to go back to reading my paper. Alright, crossfades to a train pulling into a train station. There's some tourists standing around. It looks like a tiny town. Okay, crossfade to a train station on a soundstage, and the train station set is way more crowded than the exterior. This is a short guy walking in with a white fedora hat. He shakes Mr. Brooks's hand. Can't place this new guy's accent. I mean, she said Geneva, so maybe it's Swiss, but he sounds like the Nazi prison guards in Hogan's Heroes. I think he's some kind of tour guide. Now Mr. Brooks is asking if the guy can help with finding the two ladies lodging because she had her little final destination vision. Now it's cutting to a car going up a winding mountain road. Now the interior shot of the car. It's a set of a car with rear projection where they just bounce the actors around. Mr. Brooks offers the girls a cigarette. No. Anne looks like she's in a freaking fugue state. I guess she's like psychic or something. She's talking about the accident that happened with the mountaineers before the credits. Oh, the sister, Sarah, asked the hotel driver, were there any recent accidents reported? Who knows? On a mountain, sometimes these things happen. No, the younger one, Anne, says the peasant communities of the mountain have all moved away in fear. The driver's like, mountain people are superstitious idiots. Now the girl's going on about rumors of so many climbers going missing. The driver got kind of chilled, like it let out a... But I think he's more annoyed. Just shut up when you're in my car. Alright, now it's an exterior of a hotel. Real footage. A little cute, cozy hotel, 3 stories. When they're getting out of the car, though, it cuts to a soundstage shot of them getting out of a prop car, and there's a matte painting of mountains behind them. Music's like wondrous, then it goes to spooky, and it keeps cutting to that matte painting of the spiky mountain with the snow fog on it. Anne was smiling when she looked up at it, but then her smile, once again, she looked creeped out. Now, cutting to an interior set of a hotel lobby, the bartender's serving a guy smoking a cigarette. The short fedora guy calls the bartender Hans, and now they're getting luggage. The main characters are waddling into the lobby, holding jackets and stuff. The guy that was smoking at the bar got up. He's introducing himself to Mr. Brooks. He sounds like a Brit. His name is Mr. Trisket? I'm a big fan of your crispy crackers, sir. Now he's getting introduced to the Pilgrim Sisters. Trusket. Oh. Crossfade to a set of the girls in a hotel room. They're unpacking. The younger one, Anne, she goes to the window, opens it up, sees that matte painting again, and the spooky music goes. The ominous fog. She's going into one of her entranced fugue states. She's saying every detail about a base camp. It's all there, even though she's never been there. Keeps going into this boring shot, reverse shot. It started on a cool shot of her looking out the window, but now it's just like...
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Sarah, why did I have such a strong urge to come here? I don't know. Stop worrying, you dingus. Lots of people get deja vu. Maybe you saw it in a magazine. And she's slowly looking at the mountain again. I wonder if this is that Lovecraftian cloud that Jordan Peele was talking about that influenced some of Jean Jackett's core mechanics in Nope, which was, for my money, the cinematic event of 2022. Alright, cuts to Mr. Brooks's hotel room. Someone knocked at the door. Housekeeping? It's Triscuits. Why is he just walking in? He comes in the room and said hi in a creepy kind of way. What's up? What do you want? Now they're chewing the fat about past travel experiences at the mountain community. Trisket looks down and notices, oh, pretty cool insert shot of a revolver just sitting in Brooks's suitcase. How the fuck did you get that through customs? It was a different time. Now Brooks can tell that Trisket sees the gun. He says, I need a little bit of privacy. Brooks puts the gun away in the drawer to ease the limey. Trisket, he's suspicious about this American who's here with a gun and no climbing gear. He's talking about how he's kind of attracted to the Pilgrim Sisters. And he says something about he thinks they used to do a fortune-telling act at the Palladium in the UK. Hey, con artists need vacations too. Trisket left. It cuts to the hallway and the camera follows him out. He suddenly freezes and looks concerned. Then he rushed into his room, a set of his room. Ring, ring, operator, connect me with Big Booty Magazine, please. Now, Brooks is leaving his room. He's walking down the hallway with his book of cigs. But now he hears stupid Trisket left his door open while he's calling for information on Brooks. And it's real obvious, like Brooks clearly hears him doing it as he's passing the room. I knew it, that damn Triscuit's a spy for saltines. This actor, Forrest Tucker from F Troop, he kind of reminds me of George Reeves from the 1950s Superman short films. But then his eyes are Gary Cooper's. Alright, he's walking down the stairs into the lobby and he looks pretty bummed out that someone's spying on him. 2 British mountain climbers walk up to him, and their gear is all ready to go. They're introducing themselves. Hey, we're gonna get drunk before we head out to climb. You wanna join us? Yes, I'll take a Tom Collins with lemon, please. The main climber guy, he's requesting an extra bottle of scotch to take up the mountain. Bro, get help. It's to help with the cold. Okay, now Sarah and Trisket are walking down the stairs to join everyone.
Movies were paced remarkably slow back then. At least the mood is a bit spooky. Now Sarah's meeting the mountain climbers. Want to share a drink with us? Tell me your tale, sir, while I get inebriated. There's just nothing going on stylistically in this scene so far. Lots of the shots early on were very pretty, but every time it gets into a big dialogue scene, it's like the staging of a play. The angle is just one shot, occasionally cuts to a close-up. The husky leader of the two climbers, he's explaining that he's a geologist in his day job. Finally, it cut to an interesting shot of Trisket, the Brit that was spying on Brooks. He says, keep an eye on their mountain roping for tampering. Ooh, cue the... The younger mountaineer's like, why? Something about those climbers who recently died. Now it keeps jumping back and forth to everyone with shot, reverse shot. The mood is dour and everyone in here is bummed out, including the bartender. Thinking about that headless climber. Nasty business that was. The younger hiker is basically saying the dumb student shouldn't have been out there climbing without a guide. You could have fooled me, those actors look like they're in their mid-40s. Trisket explains that the current theory is a loop in the rope got caught on the guy's neck as he fell, and it popped off his head. Well, sir, your theory is absolute poppycock. Alright, cutting to close-ups of everyone. The Kraut bartender, Hans Moleman, he's chiming in with the superstitious villagers say that the rope could not have decapitated him because it was harnessed around his body solid. The plot thickens. My plops thicken. Go on, Hans. Explains what else. Otherwise, you're not being a very good harbinger for Das Creature feature. Hans just got the runs and left the room real quick, uncomfortable. Mr. Brooks approached Trisket and he asked if he's heard of what else the village people say. Well, they sing the YMCA song. Trisket explains that they believe the head was severed before the body fell into the chasm. Oh, heavens to Betsy, Triskets. That dingus younger hiker is reiterating that he thinks the accident happened just because of how unexperienced they were. They were green rookies. Bruh, just watch. You're damn roping. Make sure that shit's tight. The hikers are leaving now, and Brooks asks if he can bum a ride off them to Dexter's lab, so they all split. Alright, cut to exterior shot of, I don't know if this is, it looks like a miniature, 2 cable cars going up. Crossfade to the interior of a cable car with rear projection. It's Brooks and the 2 limey mountain climbers. It's really dense fog. You can barely make out what's going on. They're in a really thick fog. That's spooky stuff. Reminds me of King Kong 1933. The older fat climber, like he was saying, he's a geologist in his normal job. And that it's crazy that the rocks that make up a mountain, over time, pressure can change what they were originally made of completely. The other climbers dismissing the notion completely. Oh, you disagree with basic earth science. A mountain is a mountain. Yes, rock, big, cable car, robot. Me belong under bridge. Hey, why are the dumbest people always so open about it? Save some dignity and clam up! Brooks is asking, how long is it going to take you guys to get to your destination from the observatory we're stopping at? The dumber one guesstimates, about 3.5 hours. Dude, this is a horror movie. You're going to be reaching your demise in a body bag. Alright, cuts to a really good exterior scale miniature of the observatory on the cliff. The British have always been experts in this effects field, like Marionation, Jerry Anderson. Now, cut to the observatory lab. It's a close-up of a gloved hand switching on some knobs and a gauge panel. The camera pushes backwards and it reveals a large observatory with scientists and instruments everywhere. The young nerd who was using the instrument walks up to an older-looking scientist who is clearly just Ludwig van Duck from the Disney sing-along. The older scientist is annoyed with a lab assistant who walked into the room. But it's someone named Brooks, Herr Doctor. Oh, he likes that name. It turned him on for some reason. Now that old fart's excited. Alright, cut to observatory hallway. The Ludwig von Duck is marching down the hallway to a big bunker-like door. He lets Brooks in, and they shake each other's hands, laughing. Doctor says he's scolding his team since they didn't open the door sooner. The camera's tracking with them as they walk back to the main observatory. Alright, now they're in a really wide shot of the main observatory, and you see it's a pretty good set for a B horror film. A giant window with mountains out of it. The old scientist asks what he thinks of the place. He says he got all of this money from a government grant to do this work. As they walk up to this little radar scanner, the camera pushes into them. Brooks asks, "Is it a TV?" "It is, better than Windows." Little computer screens filming the mountain. I didn't even know there were CCTV back then. Alright, it cuts back to them at the instrument desk and the old doctors laughing about how brilliant this camera system is. I guess back then it was pretty rad and new that you could get a vantage point from somewhere you weren't even at. He explains the government was complaining about how expensive all his equipment was, but he put his foot down. "I wanted Sony, not Vizio. I said it 6 times. The old scientist is walking over to a lever on the wall with Brooks and the camera, Chuck's with them. He's pointing over to the giant window and displays how this lever causes a big steel shutter to close over the window like a bunker. In the event of an avalanche emergency naturally, he explains that their main mission at the observatory is to study cosmic rays that hit the Earth at this high elevation. Alright, now they're walking into Von Duck's office. Brooks and Von Duck. The camera pushes into Brooks smirking at his old professor. "Come on, Doc, come clean. Why are you acting different now? In your letter you said it was urgent. You needed me to be here quick." "You better not be about to confess your love for me, or so help me God." The old scientist is now quietly revealing there have been many more accidents on the slopes, not just those recent one with the student climbers. Alright, back to the observatory interior room. There's a spooky mountain with a static cloud, and some interference is happening on the radars. Okay, on one of the computer screens, they see footage of the, motion sensor set it off. It's the 2 hiker guys that drove him to the lift. Brooks is going on about how him and the doctor, the old scientist, experienced something crazy like this before in the past. But the authorities wouldn't believe Brooks about people who went missing, and the investigation stopped. Okay, finally, cuts to a spooky shot of the mountain at night. Now an interior ranger station set, cabin bunk beds. The 2 climbers, the bigger one is in the bunk bed. He's getting ready for bed. The other one looks like he's drawing something or marking on a map where they are. The younger one got up and looked out at the storm that's hitting them. This stuff is pretty spooky right here. It's shot good. Keeps cutting to the exterior of the little shed, and you just hear the wind howling. Anytime you know you're in a place where visibility is bad, that automatically makes it a little bit more suspenseful. That mountain matte painting is spookier at night, and there's still that fog mist moving around. Alright, cross dissolves to a snow globe that one of the hotel staff is carrying to Sarah. A bunch of men in suits have gathered in the lobby this is a dining area of the hotel. This is a long time to go without anything scary happening. When you're pacing a horror movie, you gotta be a little bit quicker, guys. It's been a long time since that first major scary beat. Horror's like a dynamic piece of music. You gotta drop nicely timed stingers in, little notes from time to time. The tension just starts to fade. Oh, Trisket was right. They're gonna do some kind of like seance, or she does a psychic act. It seems like she's actually psychic, though, or she at least thinks she is. The girls are wearing, like, really nice dresses, not just tourist stuff. And the young one is the psychic. She turns her back to them and guesses what they have in their hands or in a hat. She guessed the money exactly. It's a Franc Deutschmark. She knows the exact numbers on the card. I've seen magicians do this, though. Next item. She guessed the paperweight correctly. The shot of the girl from Darby O'Gill is pretty good. This looks like a handsome noir movie right here. I guess it's the lighting in the dining room, but I don't know why the cinematographer didn't like the whole film like this. Alright, now she's freaking out. She's having one of her visions. It's going in close to her face. Ooh, almost like Children of the Damned. It's going in close on her eyes. The cinematographer's using a reflector to create a strip of light across her eyes, and the focus puller is kind of making it go blurry. She's having a vision about the mountaineers that were just pictured in the shed. It's cutting to the guy in the shed. He's getting up all, ooh, he has the shining. Like a zombie, he's just like in a trance, getting up, walking. He's straight up gonna walk off the mountain. He's leaving the mountain into the snowy night while his friend's asleep. Alright, cut back to Anne in her trance. She's freaking out. Brooks believes it enough to get up and run to the phone and call. Does that shed even have a phone? Oh, again, she faints. Some psychic she is. Everyone's tending to her except Brooks, who's calling. Ring, ring.
Oh, a phone is ringing.
The portly climber mountaineer guy from earlier gets up to answer the phone. Oi, why you calling so late? Are you okay? Yeah, nothing. Everything's good. Is the younger climber there? Sure, he'd be here. He's not gonna want... Spoke too soon. He's gone. He's looking around for him. He must have had a dreadful case of mud butt. He had to go out into the snow. Come back to the phone. No, he's not here. You were right. The door is wide open and he just left.
He just left! With nuts!
It just keeps cutting to close-up shots of them on the phone as they have their conversation. He says, don't go looking for him. There's really heavy snow. And if he wasn't wearing a heavy coat, he might freeze to death already. So we don't want 2 dead guys. Hangs up. Now it cuts back to the guy in the shed. He's pretty worried about his friend. What in the hell was he thinking? He goes to the open door. He's calling out for him. Get back in the shed, you dingus! Ooh, spooky effect of his voice echoing across the mountains. He shuts the door, waddles back to bed. Alright, now it's cutting to Anne, passed out in her bedroom, and all the doctors are checking on her. What happened? The doctor wants to sedate her. Get away, you creepy Jack of Workian. If you know your sister's psychic and she has these fits, why do you make her go through this for your job? The professor who was up in the observatory earlier as part of this party that was watching the psychic show, I guess just to keep Brooks company, but he seems like he's not skeptical, like he believes in all this. But maybe he's seen something in the past. He walks out into the hallway with Sarah, the older sister. Give her this sedative and then come talk to me. And Triscuits is real concerned about this too. Now everyone's gathered in the lobby. And of course we all know Betty and Bobby Blobby were lost in the lobby.
Betty!
Bobby,
Betty and Bobby Blobby! We want our mommy!
to be in the lobby.
Talking about how weird it is that the guy walked off in the middle of the night and what's your name called it exactly as it was. He's not the most skeptic scientist ever. Sarah, is this act of yours, jest? Is it just an illusion or is it real? Yeah, Sarah's saying that we used to do cold readings and then she found out that she actually was clairvoyant and could see a lot of things. Well, Triscuit is at the top of the stairs eavesdropping. Old professor is saying, you need to get her out of here. Probably because of the deaths he knows about. You need to get her out of here. Sensitive psychic like her. Brooks just noticed Triscuit at the top of the stairs eavesdropping. Go confront him. Hans is answering the phone. Hello? The phone's for the professor. Hello. It's one of his lab guys at the observatory saying the cloud that is always static and just stays there is finally moving and they can track it with radiation and radar. Si, senor. He's like, I'll be up in the morning. I would go up there right now. Hopefully the cloud doesn't move to where the hikers are, which you know it is. Alright, Brooks is calling him again, saying, watch out for a fog. Don't go outside. He's scaring this dude into a frenzy, this British guy. Hey, there's someone outside. Let me open the door. Ooh, a fog bank moving in. It's a pretty cool, swirling effect. No, it's not your friend, you idiot. He left the door open. False alarm. There's no one there. Just that raven again. Alright, he goes to close the door and freaks out. Ah! He's trying to keep something out. Boards up the door. Climber, can you hear me? Answer. The camera pans into him and he did a very, very funny shriek while the camera pushed into him. He just kind of morphed into Jerry Lewis for a second. Marvin! Alright, now someone's calling the hotel to speak to the professor again. I see. He hung up. He didn't say what happened. It's the observatory. The cloud moved to the hut and then away from the hut. And just when you lost contact with that dingus. Alright, cut to the lobby set again. All the guys are getting dressed for mountain climbing. They're going to do a search party to go look, see if those guys are okay. Ha! Highly dubious. It's Triscuit's, the hotel guide with the fedora, Brooks, and the bartender, Hans, mole man. Professor's staying, or I guess he has to go to the observatory. Be careful. Alright, go fuck yourself. Alright, map painting of a mountain range. Ooh, now pretty cool Lord of the Rings-ish shot of silhouettes of men climbing up a mountain range. This has got to be stock footage from like a mountaineering documentary. Alright, they're all walking past rear projection of mountains. Move, Triscuits, keep going. Don't stop in front of me. These, some of the stock footage they're using was men who looked nothing like them and had like Australian World War I outfits on. Anne is in her hotel room bed having some kind of fit. Red rum. Stay away from the hut, stay away from the hut. Okay, can't really call the guys unless they have a radio, which I wonder. This is post-World War I, but it seemed like only specialized people had those giant radios on them. Radio backpack. Professor, why is my sister like this? Her brain is like a radio receiver. Well, you know, they have been known to inbreed, and it can create these effects. The user's mind's capable of reading signals put out by other minds. When you use that shining, the pineal gland is sending out scanner tunes. Get your sister out of here before it's too late. Something bad's gonna happen. Professor says he needs to leave. When those men reach the hut, we'll know if her visions were truly correct. Alright, they're coming up to the little shed ranger station in the mountains. They can't get in because the door's boarded up. I guess making a big American lead, like the macho guy, was like way to ensure American audiences would watch it. He busted the door. Look at this. Broken glass, and the blankets are frozen stiff. Ooh, they found something under the bunk bed, a body. It looks like the portly climber, judging from the sausage fingers. They're pulling him out. Whoa! He also has been decapitated. Alright, cuts to the two limey sisters having tea time in their hotel room. They're both just chilling on the bed, talking about how we need to leave. Anne doesn't want to. She feels like she needs to be here. The sister leaves the room. The shots are very noirish now. Good lighting since the spookiness began with their little psychic act. Alright, now the sister seems like she's snooping around, and she hears that
jingle, jingle, jangle.
She hears that little weird blip on the score. She looks up at the creepy fog on the side of the mountain. Her eyes are dilating. Now she's looking over at her wardrobe, getting out. Ooh, Jackie Onassis jacket. This girl should be in MI6. Spies can do all kinds of crazy stuff if there was psychic powers. Alright, now all these guys are like upset and leaving the cabin because they're like, they were the most experienced climbers and he got decapitated. Yeah, but that wasn't a climbing accident, dude. Triscuit noticed that the phone line was cut, but it's not cut like by a blade. It's like some chemical, like it completely demolecularized. Brooks saw some experiments with excessive heat and excessive cold change things base elements. It's really cold, but it ain't cold enough for this. Alright, Aunt back to the hotel set. She's in the hotel hallway, going down into the lobby. Anne is snooping around. She tightened her jacket and she's looking around. She's being very sneaky. She's a grown woman. I guess back then people would, like, a woman who's unattended would, like, sadly be like, go back to your room, young lady. She walks to that matte painting again when they got out of the car. She looks up at the spooky mountain. She looks up at a small plane, little Cessna. Cut away. Cuts to two random climbers on the mountain. This guy does have one of those giant radios, the army style radio with the antenna. He's able to call the pilot of this little plane. Yeah, they're all like Swiss and German people. What's your position? The missionary position, sir. And reverse cowgirl. Okay, so they're a search party looking for the missing guy. One guy has the vantage point of the plane and the other ones are actually looking. He's giving them their coordinates on the mountain, so he knows exactly where they are in relation to what he finds. It keeps cutting to the guy in this interior set of a cockpit of a plane with rear projection clouds, and then it cuts to these mountaineers. Sarah goes back in the room of the hotel and Anne's gone. My goodness. Jeez Louise, it is remarkable how slowly paced these movies were. It's not really boring, though. It's just, compared to modern movies. She looks out the hotel window and sees her sister riding up the lift trolley crane that goes up. What are those things called? That James Bond fought Jaws on top of. Cut to an interior of the little trolley car and the sister riding. Now it's the plane again. He's looking for people. He sees a spooky fog rolling across the ravine. That's a real shot. Zoom in. There's a guy waving. Oh, could it be the survivor? The younger guy who left in a trance? The pilot radios to the two Krauts with the radio hiking. Hey, he's here at these coordinates. Go find him. They're climbing up the side, and the sister, Anne, is now riding the trolley car all the way up. Anne just got out of the lift at the observatory, and the lab guy's hitting on her. The guy can tell she's kind of weird, and she's in a trance. He's walking her by her arm into the observatory bunker, the big metal door. All right, now these mountaineers are climbing up, and they found a backpack. On a pretty scary flat area. There's a oddly flat area on a mountain, and there's a backpack. I found das Rucksack. He's calling out for his friend who's lagging behind. Ew, there's blood on the backpack. Or jam. It is a black and white film. Opens it, and it's the mountaineer's head severed. Now the younger guy comes out. He's like in a trance. He's like he's like possessed by something, and he's using his hiking axe to chop down these two mountaineers. Please don't stab me with that pickaxe. No! That was just cruel, sir. Cuts to the observatory, Anne's just sitting there. She seems to know what happened, where the guys just got murdered. Professor Von Duck is looking at his radar. They're doing all kinds of readings, and Anne is snooping around. She's sneaking out of the room, back to that set of the hallway. That's a really cool overhead shot of her running down the hallway. And as she's trying to leave, Brooks and the search party come in. What are you doing up here? Brooks is like grabbing her and like, no, it's not safe for you to be alone. Come back here. What are you doing up here?
That you ain't my daddy, don't tell me what to do.
And he's walking her back into the observatory. All the guys that just found the body hidden in the bunk. So now it's this same old medium close-up shot of this scientist and Brooks within the observatory, sitting near their instruments. He's explaining that they found the older mountain climber decapitated now also. Loki, sit still. Sorry, my dog's making a lot of noise. The cloud is on the move again. Philip Triscuits, I don't think you'd understand. Butt out. Okay, he finally reveals that he's not a spy. He's a reporter. He writes for some British newspaper. So Brooks is revealing that the United Nations wanted to put together a special team, kind of like Fringe or X-Files, that will investigate paranormal, supernatural phenomena, or things that the normal government entities don't want to admit exist. And Triscuit was asking if this is the same as it's been in the other mountain ranges of the world that Brooks and the professor experienced in the past, and he said, it is, but it's more intense. Before, the deaths weren't as frequent. Brooks is sort of an envoy that gets to decide if a United Nations team comes in. This was post-war, too, when people still respected United Nations. And it is the atomic era of movies, so they're debating whether or not this is some sort of mutation of a terrestrial animal, or if it's from Venus or Mars. And Brooks is like, I'm leaning towards the latter. I read H.G. Wells, and that's all my brain is capable of processing. Different planet. Yeah, it's just doing kind of a reverse shot of them having this discussion, debating the origins of the creature. Professor Von Duck thinks that it's the elevation and radiation level. The air is so non-existent up there that they can kind of create their own biosphere within those clouds. But I want to know, I want to see one. Do they fly? Or is it more of a, like, within that floating cloud, they're able to swim around? He says it might also have something to do with the pressure up there. Like they can only live at a certain pressure level or elevation. Alright, this time it was a hard cut. Usually this movie's been cross-dissolving the transitions between scenes when I say cut to. But this one actually was a jump cut to Sarah coming down the stairs into the lobby set to talk to Triscuit and the bartender. Which is kind of jarring, because in the scene before, Triscuit was just at the observatory. Leave me alone while I romance Hans. Bartender's explaining that the plane spotted who he thought was a survivor, and then sure enough, that rescue party has gone missing now too. Brooks and Professor now enter the lobby, and they're asking,
Where is she? Where's Anne?
she's in her room. Wouldn't you want, like, a guard around her 24/7? Because she's able to predict things that happen, and she's clearly proven it. In walks the young, hypnotized climber. And they're all shocked to see him. They assumed he was dead. And as he lumbers in to the bar, he's walking like a zombie. The DP is lighting him really cool, like from below, like a John Alton lighting from those Anthony Mann noir movies. There's deep shadows behind him and light from below. This is the spooky shit that gets to me. Just mood and atmosphere. Where the hell have you been? Don't ask. He asks if his friend got back, and he goes, no, he hasn't. When was the last time you saw him? At the hut. Yeah, that's the last place I saw him too. He pulls his collar like he feels sick or fatigued. I've got nausea. Pour me a drink. Oh yeah, that'll help. Quickly. Poison my liver. Okay, Brooks is watching his mannerisms quickly. It goes up to a kind of a close-up of the wine glass, or scotch glass that they're trying, and he can barely pour it. He's pouring it all over the bar. Can't make it touch his mouth. Bro, I think you're a stroke patient. And he's asking too many questions about Sarah's sister. Why are you so interested in her? She's too young for you, bro. Now, Brooks is intentionally offering this guy a cigarette to see how he performed with that. Back to the low-angle shot from the bar. The guy can't even strike a match. Yeah, he's acting like the two hemispheres of his brain aren't talking to each other. He tried to hold the match up to light the cigarette, and he was almost burning his own nose. Brooks helped him. I've seen all I need to see. I'm a bit nervous. I think this guy is having that Travis Walton effect where he's realized that he lost track of so much time and he feels really funky. The younger Pilgrim sister Anne
suddenly enters the room.
And this dude immediately jumps up and is hypnotized again. Her presence reactivated the possession, and she seems to know it too, that there's some kind of evil force at work with him. Homeboy pulled a thick knife out of his pocket. How was that not cutting him? He just pulled it out of his own leg. And he's about to come for her, and Brooks is like, nuh-uh, not on my watch. And he punches him so hard. With his giant fist that the guy flew back and also hit his head. And they notice he's not bleeding. He has wounds, clearly. This is a case of the pod people. He's not bleeding at all. Alright, it cross-dissolves to, looks like a storage area of the hotel. Maybe a wine cellar. They dragged one of the beds down there, or a futon, and they're laying him on it. I would tie him to it. He's clearly dangerous. And they are still walking around doing exposition, but at least now the lighting is wicked handsome. Oh, this area locks up. They can lock him in here. It's a wine cellar with a really big iron door. You gotta protect those spirits and wines. Now they're going up the stairs, and this dude is out like a light. Now they're back in this fucking lobby scene. Triscuit's asking, why was he acting like that? Have you guys seen people possessed like this before during the other phenomenons you guys were investigating? He said that part of our report was hushed up. I would think the United Nations, all the intelligentsia of the Cold War would want him to not speak so openly to a journalist. Wouldn't they, as soon as this guy is here, you try to find some place to hide this guy so he can't go back and write a report? I mean, I wouldn't put it past the CIA and MI6 to just disappear this guy. At the 52.57 mark, this movie is becoming a lot of exposition scenes that are just nicely lit, but it kind of ruins the mood. There had been very spooky moments, like the guy looking out at the fog, the initial stinger at the beginning with the headless body on the mountain, and this guy being in a controlled body snatcher state. But, I mean, it's not a bad film at all, but it's just a little bit better than middle of the road. Kind of reminds me a lot from the Terror from Beyond Space, except that movie shows the monster a lot. So at least if you wait a bit, you'll see a monster. And it's got all the fun retrofuturism of the ship. Professor Von Duck is explaining that the last case where they discovered this phenomenon, there had been a man who was pronounced dead by the medical examiner and wrapped up, and he got up and still did things. So I think the person that they have locked up in the wine cellar, he's afraid that might be going on with them, where they're kind of a zombie. They're not really a living person anymore. Hence, no blood, rigor mortis. the guy before who had been hypnotized was dead for 24 hours even, and then he got back up. It's this fog. It's got Plan 9 from outer space powers. So Brooks's theory is that these things, these beings that live within the clouds, their existence is threatened by the girl with the good shining, Anne. So they're trying to send human envoys or zombie slaves to do their dirty work for them. Why don't y'all come out and fight like real creatures? But he says, why are they only just now trying to do this? Professor Von Duck says something foreboding. We'll know soon enough. Well, can you show the audience? Because we're kind of hanging on here, falling into boredom. Cross dissolve to the wine cellar. Everything within this hotel now at night and in this basement is being lit, so that is a quality of the film you can't knock. Got great photography. And sometimes the director is doing very cool things. Alright, just like they predicted, they knocked him unconscious, and he's waking up in the little cot they put down there. I've got a throbbing headache. Thank God I've got all this gin around. What is he doing? Grabbing his wiener? World's slowest getting up out of bed with a hangover scene. Now he realizes he's locked in, and he hides real quick when he hears Hans coming down the stairs to check on him. The way he's lit when he hid behind this big metal door, he looked like Rondo Hatton. Very menacing Dick Tracy looking villain. Hans sees the bed's empty.
Where on earth could he be?
Within a little gap in the door, he started strangling the guy. So I think Hans is a goner. Because when they're possessed by these things, I think they have super strength. Hans, say it ain't so. At least it wasn't the bartender. Hotel needs a bartender.